You want a war? You're gonna get one.
Forget the lies, the money. We're in this together and through it all. They said that nothing's forever, and they refuse to see the change in me. Why won't they wake up? Come on, come on, come on. Let's get it out. Move to the music, play that fucking music. Live through my music, yeah.
Welcome to Reliving the War episode 59 and welcome to the 25th of November 1996. We have a taped episode of Raw tonight coming from New Haven, Connecticut, while WCW Nitro is live from Salisbury, Maryland. We're going to take a look at the WCW World War 3 results first, and I know you guys enjoyed the separate upload I done for the Survivor Series, so I have some good news. The next WWF and WCW pay-per-views, In Your House 12 and Starrcade 96, will have their own videos just like the Survivor Series. Covering pay-per-views separately is still kind of a work in progress, and I'm really trying to see if I can manage these shows along with everything else on the channel. But I'll try covering both the World Championship Wrestling and World Wrestling Federation pay-per-views next month. I'll see then if it's something I'll be able to continue doing in the future. So let's look at the World War 3 results first of all, then we'll check out the first 60 minutes of Monday Nitro. World War III took place in the Norfolk Scope in Norfolk, Virginia on the 24th of November 1996. Just under 10,500 fans showed up for the event. Ultimo Dragon, or Ultimate Dragon, successfully defended the J-Crown Championship to start this one off. Dragon won the match with a brilliant sit-down powerbomb. Chris Jericho wrestled Nick Patrick with one arm tied behind his back. It was absolutely brutal as expected, and Jericho won after hitting Patrick with a super kick. It looks like Patrick has a Jesus tattoo also, or maybe it's Seth Rollins, who knows. Nature Boy Ric Flair may still be injured, but he was on top form when he made a special appearance at the pay-per-view. Flair said the NWO will belong to WCW by the end of the night. The fake Double J then had his match with the Giant, and Sting showed up to hit a Scorpion Death Drop on Jarrett. Sting is still pissed off that Jarrett didn't really sing with My Baby Tonight. Giant ended up scoring the win, and the commentators are confused about Sting's motives. It seems like the Stinger is helping the New World Order. A contract signing between Roddy Piper and Hollywood Hogan took place. Hogan wanted Piper to show everyone the scar from his hip surgery as a way to demean the Hot Rod. Piper ends up getting hit with a steel chair on the leg and he gets an NWO spray job. The NWO back off when Roddy flips a table, and the Hot Rod says if that's the best Hogan can do, then the Hulkster is in trouble. Harlem Heat then defeated the Amazing French Canadians, meaning Sister Sherry would get a match afterwards with Colonel Robert Parker. The Sherry vs Parker match is great for Dusty Rhodes commentary. Dusty goes fucking crazy here. Sherry destroys Parker, but it ends in a countout. The French Canadians end up pulling Parker out of the ring. Psychosis vs Dean Malenko was another good cruiserweight match. It ends with Dean successfully defending his cruiserweight title after performing a bridging pin. The Outsiders defeated the Nasty Boys and the Faces of Fear next to retain the tag team titles. Scott Hall used Jimmy Hart's megaphone on Brian Knobbs, and Big Sexy followed up by hitting a jackknife. In the World War III Battle Royal, the Giant emerged victorious. It ended with Luger taking on Kevin Nash, Scott Hall, Syxx and the Giant. Luger manages to eliminate Syxx and Hall, and when Lex put Nash in the torture rack, the Giant decided to eliminate both men to win the match. This means the Giant is in line for a WCW title match in the near future. If you want to learn more about this World War III match and the other World War matches that happened in World Championship Wrestling, make sure you check out the video I made on the subject. Tony and Larry open up Nitro by recapping the Piper and Hogan contract signing. Starrcade 96 will feature Piper vs Hogan in the main event. Also, we're told that a tournament will begin tonight to crown a new US champion, so that's 2 title tournaments currently going on in WCW. Remember, the Giant stole the US title, but the last champion was Nature Boy Ric Flair. The first US title tournament match then takes place, Arn Anderson vs Lex Luger. Arn still wanted revenge for what happened at Halloween Havoc. This one wasn't bad at all, but the finish saw Lex putting Double A in a torture rack on the outside. Both men got counted out, and so both men are eliminated from the tournament. Eric Bischoff then showed up with the New World Order. Eric explains that after he got jackknifed all the way back at the Great American Bash, he had to make a decision. Did he want to fight the NWO, or did he want to be part of the group? Days after the Great American Bash, Bischoff had a meeting with Hall and Nash, and after a lot of planning, the Outsiders and Bischoff consolidated their power within wrestling. So for this whole time, Eric has been working with the New World Order. Eric then says that every wrestler in the locker room has 30 days to change their WCW contracts to New World Order contracts. The NWO are now going to start truly building their dynasty. The American males then came out. Marcus Bagwell high-fives a bunch of NWO guys, and Scotty Riggs takes a neckbreaker. Buff the Stuff Bagwell is now part of the New World Order. DDP vs Disco Inferno was up next, and Disco didn't have a chance. It's a short encounter and Page wins with a diamond cutter. After the match, Gene Okerlund got an interview with Dallas, and Page said the NWO want him to build their dynasty because he possesses the baddest move on the planet, the diamond cutter. Page said he thought he knew Eric Bischoff. The two were once friends, and remember when Nash and Hall were saying that Page doesn't get it? Well, this was maybe what they were talking about, Bischoff's involvement in the New World Order. Dallas leaves us with uncertainty here. We don't know if Bischoff joining the group has made DDP change his mind. During the promo, our guy here, who has some good seats, decided to pull out a pair of binoculars to get a good look at Dallas Page. He then uses his binoculars to look at other fans in the audience. What a fucking creep. He probably told his son that he's looking out for Sting. The TV title was on the line when Steve Regal defended the gold against Tony Pena. His lordship won with a Regal stretch. Mean Gene then interviewed Rick Steiner. Okerlund wanted to know where the Steiners have been these past few weeks, and Rick says they've been tearing it up in Japan. Rick says he's came back to a messy WCW. Sting is in the rafters, Marcus Bagwell is joining the NWO, but Rick says you need guts to stand up to these New World Order guys, and Rick says he'll continue fighting the good fight along with guys like Luger and Piper. Eddie Guerrero and Conan then took part in another US title tournament match to end the first 60 minutes of Nitro. It was announced during this contest that Eric Bischoff would no longer commentate on WCW Nitro, and the second hour will feature Tony Schiavone, Mike Tenay and Bobby Heenan. A great match here as expected, but the finish had a botched head scissors spot. You could see the disappointment in Eddie's face afterwards. Nitro gets the unopposed point this week. Their first 60 minutes has gotten a whole lot better since Raw moved their time slot. Raw kicks off with a big one, Bret Hart vs Owen Hart. Over on Nitro we have Big Bubba taking on Rick Steiner. Jerry Lawler isn't happy that he has to hear Bret's music again in the WWF, and Jim Ross reminds us that Owen Hart has beaten Bret in the past. Bret gives his shades away to a little girl at ringside, while our guy here is like, fuck that little kid, 4 Horsemen brother. If we look beyond the Horseman guy, there's also a gimp in attendance tonight. Owen teases Bret when the two men get in the ring, and we're told that Shawn Michaels will be getting interviewed a little later on from the home of Jose Lothario. So this is Bret's first match on Raw since March of 1996. Can you remember who Bret faced in that match? It was Tatanka. Long drawn out lockups start this one off with Bret getting the upper hand. Owen gets brought to the corner twice, and both times Bret gives a clean break. Owen starts working over the wrist and we see a few counters. Owen slams Bret down after grabbing his brother's hair, and so Bret returns the favour. As the match resets and Bret starts working over Owen's arm, Vince McMahon reminds us that the Hitman gets a title shot at our next WWF pay-per-view. In your house, it's time. Owen performs his signature wrist lock counter, but Bret puts Owen down with a back elbow. Bret then transitions from an armbar to a hammerlock, and we get to see some nice hammerlock counters from both Bret and Owen. They make this stuff look really easy. Owen breaks the hold by getting to the ropes. The brothers then push and slap each other around, with Bret's slap missing by a mile. and Bret goes straight back to the arm afterwards. Owen breaks out, but Bret nails a hip toss followed by a clothesline. Owen then gets whipped into the corner and a back body drop follows. The King of Hearts is bumping all around the ring here for his big brother. Davey Boy Smith watches from the back, upset that there's been no chin locks applied thus far. Bret again targets Owen's arm, but Owen puts an end to that with a knee to the midsection. Owen then brings Bret to the corner where the Hitman takes a few European uppercuts, and the younger Hart looks proud of his work after Bret takes a kicking in the corner. Bret gets whipped again into the turnbuckles, and nobody sold these better than Bret. Owen applies a camel clutch, and then for some reason when Bret tries to fight out of the hold, we go to a split screen to hear Jim Ross talking about In Your House 12. Owen hits a nice belly-to-belly suplex while Ross bangs on about Bret possibly winning the WWF Championship for a fourth time. We get more promotional material as the match continues. The Shawn Michaels interview gets plugged here, and tonight's absolutely unmissable earth-shattering main event gets hyped up as Owen Hart hits an enziguri. We come back from a commercial break and Owen gets thrown off the top rope. A fist fight then breaks out between the two brothers and Bret floors Owen with a headbutt. Bret then hits a side Russian leg sweep, and Bret then hits his signature second rope elbow drop. All this only gets Bret a 2 count. Owen catches Bret with a roll up, but Bret pushes Owen out of the ring. Owen tries to come back in with a sunset flip, but Bret counters with a sharpshooter. And then Steve Austin hits the ring and Bret gets attacked with a steel chair. Bret wins via disqualification. Austin goes to Pillmanize Bret, but Davey Boy Smith runs down for the save, removing the chair from Bret's ankle. Austin tries it again and Davey again takes the chair away, so Austin decides to nail Davey instead before leaving the ring. Interesting stuff here. Is this a British Bulldog face turn? Are there some problems with the tag team champions? Have we worked out what the hell this guy is supposed to be and what he's doing on Monday Night Raw? Hopefully we get answers soon. During Rick Steiner's entrance, the dog-faced gremlin shouts at the camera that he's unsure if he can trust Sting. Gee, I wonder if Sting is going to show up in this match. Big Bubba tries bringing the fight to Steiner right from the opening bell, but a big takedown puts Bubba in his place. Bubba tries to get a little reassurance from Jimmy Hart, but Rick whacks Jimmy and Bubba's heads together on the outside. And Steiner then hits a double axe handle from the apron to the outside. As the action gets back inside the ring, Tony Schiavone announces that footage from that elusive Baltimore house show was recorded and clips will get shown on WCW Saturday Night. I just so happen to have that episode of Saturday Night right here because I'm a filthy pirate, and right enough, there it is. A few of you did reach out to say that footage exists of this show, so this must be where it's from. The Dungeon of Doom beat the crap out of Chris Benoit, a woman runs down to save Chris, and woman also ends up attacking Kevin Sullivan, so there you go. Back to the match, a punch to the face and a knee to the chin put Steiner down. Rick gets thrown into the corner, but he counters with a big German suplex that gets a great pop. And then the audience gets distracted as Sting begins making his way to the ring from the stands. Steiner hits a bulldog inside the ropes, and as Sting gets closer to the squared circle, Big Bubba gets clotheslined over the top. Steiner doesn't realise that Sting's right behind him at this point. Rick gets nailed with a scorpion death drop, and this allows Big Bubba to score a pinfall win. Bobby Heenan thinks that this is further proof that Sting isn't on WCW's side, as Bubba and Jimmy Hart celebrate in the ring. The point goes to WWF Raw here. Great seeing Sting and all that, but Owen vs Bret was a better overall match. Psychosis vs Rey Mysterio is our next match on Nitro. WWF Raw presents Freddie Joe Floyd vs our pizza-loving Executioner. The Executioner hands his pizza slicer over to Paul Bearer just before we get some pre-recorded comments from Bearer and Mankind. The Executioner is going to face The Undertaker at In Your House in an Armageddon Rules match, basically an early version of a Last Man Standing match where a pinfall must take place before the 10 count happens. The Executioner brings Floyd to the corner, but Freddie comes back with an arm drag followed by a fireman's carry. Executioner replies with a series of knees to the head before hitting a terrible looking dropkick, and Floyd finds himself getting clotheslined out of the ring. Executioner throws FJF back inside the ropes and Freddie ends up taking a bulldog. And then Doc Hendricks appears via split screen. He says the Harts are arguing backstage and Steve Austin has apparently left the building, trying to avoid the Hitman. Doc says he's going to try to get an interview with Bret as our match continues inside the ring. Executioner hits a side suplex and Freddy doesn't take any impact whatsoever. Freddy takes a body slam, but he fires back with a few back fists, followed by a jumping sidekick. Executioner kicks out at 2. And our match then comes to a merciful end when the Executioner sticks his thumb into Freddy Joe's neck. Vince calls this the Asian Spike, but I think we can do better. So let me know what you think the name of the Executioner's thumbtastic finisher should be. Bonus points if it's pizza related. A pretty shitty matchup here, nothing more to add. As Psychosis vs Rey Mysterio gets underway, we see Ultimo Dragon standing at the entranceway. And yes, his name has finally been officially changed to Ultimo Dragon. Dragon shows off the J Crown Championship belts as Psychosis throws Rey into the air and Mysterio crashes hard on the mat. Psychosis then lifts Rey up in the powerbomb position, but he decides to dump Rey out of the ring instead. The commentators aren't sure if this should lead to a DQ finish, as Rey did get thrown over the top rope, but who cares at this point? Rick Steiner clotheslined Big Bubba earlier on over the top and nothing happened. Rey takes a body slam and Psychosis hits a nice guillotine leg drop from the top rope. Rey kicks out of the follow-up pin. And then the match comes to an end when Psychosis goes for a middle rope crucifix powerbomb and Rey reverses it with a Hurricane Rana. The finish looked great, but the match itself lacked substance. It was an incredibly brief encounter. Giving the point in Nitro still though, Floyd vs Executioner was absolutely brutal. The WWF presents that Shawn Michaels interview from Jose Lothario's home, while WCW Nitro recaps World War III. Gonna get the WCW stuff out of the way here first. Before the World War III recap begins, a bruised Chris Benoit gets interviewed by Mean Gene Okerlund. Remember, Chris had that Falls Count Anywhere match against Sullivan in Baltimore. How could we forget? There's a little bit of kayfabe breaking here. Benoit says he's only one man, yet the whole Dungeon of Doom couldn't put him away during the Falls Count Anywhere match. Benoit says Kevin Sullivan sees himself in the Crippler, and then Chris says that he's aware of Kevin Sullivan's executive position within WCW, and he knows Sullivan can get him shipped out of the company at any given time. Woman then says she told Kevin in Baltimore that if he continued to attack Benoit, then it's over. Nancy says that she's telling Kevin right now that that's it, it's over. Woman was talking about her relationship with Sullivan here, yet casual fans didn't know there was a relationship between Woman and Sullivan in the first place, although it was being heavily implied since the beginning of this Benoit and Sullivan rivalry. WCW Nitro then dedicates a whole 15 minutes of airtime to replay the Roddy Piper contract signing at World War III. And yes, I know that this was great for people who didn't buy the pay-per-view, but it wasn't great for those who did. In the UK, we didn't get any WCW pay-per-views from this era, so replays like this were always welcome down the road. But also, it does feel like a lazy way to fill up TV time. I'm not going to talk about this whole segment, you got the gist of it earlier on in the results. Piper vs Hogan is signed for Starrcade, Piper attacks Hogan, and the NWO try to embarrass Piper. What's worrying about this is that this whole replay left WCW very short on time. 13 minutes are now left for 2 matches, that has to include entrances also. And this whole World War III replay was the longest segment during this whole episode of Monday Nitro. We go to Jose Lothario's home where Jose and HBK are sitting on Jose's exquisite couch. Vince wants to know how Jose is feeling, and Jose says he's felt rough, but hitting the pipe earlier with HBK has made him feel 10 times better. Just kidding. Jose wants to start off by apologising to the fans and to Shawn for costing HBK the WWF title, but I think fans may have been thankful for Jose Lothario here. HBK gives Jose a little nudge because Super Sock won't fuck up. Vince again asks Jose how he's doing, and Jose says, and I quote, that They're going to do a balloon pass through my heart because my heart was really damaged at the Survival series. The fuck? Shawn can be seen here going, holy mother of God, he's completely fucking this one up. Vince McMahon announces that Shawn Michaels will get a title shot at the Royal Rumble in San Antonio, Texas. And in regards to the Survivor Series, Shawn says, what's done is done. Jose isn't to blame. HBK is to blame. Somewhere over the last few months, Shawn lost his edge, and because of that, HBK subsequently lost the WWF Championship. Jerry Lawler cuts to the chase by saying that old fossil sitting next to HBK was what cost Shawn the belt. And HBK says if Sid was able to beat him in a skill-based wrestling match where the better man truly won, then Shawn would accept that. Sid instead decided to attack a 62-year-old man, and that was uncalled for. Shawn said he wants Sid in his hometown so the people of San Antonio can tear Sid apart. And HBK says he'll meet Bret Hart another time. Vince wants to know how Shawn felt about the fans booing him, and Shawn says he didn't care. He wants fans to enjoy themselves when they come to see him wrestle, and if Shawn can no longer provide that enjoyment, then the fans can get it from somewhere else. The fans aren't the priority anymore. Psycho Sid is the priority. And Shawn says if the fans get behind him, then that's totally fine, but if they don't, then that's fine also. Vince says Shawn's getting a little defensive here, and HBK fires back saying that he's just being honest. And the interview wraps up with Shawn saying he's going to kick Sid's teeth down his throat inside the Alamo Dome. Regardless of WCW Nitro replaying the World War stuff, this was still a good promo on Raw from Shawn Michaels. He's definitely moving into tweener territory with this one, and honestly, it's leagues better than the white meat babyface Shawn who Vince McMahon just can't get enough of. A point for WWF Raw. After the interview, we get a semi-final match in the Milton Bradley Karate Fighters tournament, Sunny versus Sable. Sable is going with her Wildman Tiger Ninja again, while Sunny is going to use Cyber Fist. She says what Sunny wants, Sunny gets, and Cyber Fist will do it for her. So what is Cyber Fist going to do for Sunny? What could Sunny possibly do with a guy who has a Cyber Fist? Well, Sunny wins the match, but it turns out that she stuck her karate fighter down with some gum, and so the decision is reversed and Sable goes through to the finals. The referee takes a punch to the jaw for being such a little narc. The action never stops in this monumental tournament. Rocky Maivia's first televised Raw match takes place next, when he faces legendary schmuck Salvatore Sincere. While over on Nitro, we've got Alex Wright versus the fake Double J. Even with limited TV time, Double J still gets his strut in. And our match starts off with Alex reversing a wrist lock with a headstand and a cartwheel. Fucking show off. Jarrett then grabs Wright's hair and Alex gets slammed to the mat. Alex performs a kip up, and it legit looks like Alex gets pissed off with Jarrett here. If he didn't, then that's some good acting right there. Jarrett comes back with a right hand and he tells Alex to never do that again. Wright gets launched into the ropes, but he ducks under Jarrett. Jeff takes a boot to the midsection, and Wright performs 2 jumping head scissors before landing a dropkick. Wright gets thrown into the corner and he tries to jump over Jarrett. Jarrett grabs Wright and Alex gets his face smashed into the top turnbuckle. And then Jarrett jumps on Alex's back while Wright was leaning against the middle rope. Alex doesn't look like he's in pain afterwards, he just looks kinda confused. Kinda like he's wondering why Jeff would pretend to sing a country song while all along he was lip syncing. Alex comes back with a jump spinning wheel kick and Jarrett takes an elbow in the corner. Wright says it's all over, but his apron to ring splash only gets him a 2 count. Alex then misses a kick in the corner, and this leads to Jeff Jarrett performing the figure 4 and winning the match. Jarrett even used the bottom ropes just like Nature Boy Ric Flair. You could feel this match was rushed, but what was here was still pretty decent. Milton Bradley Karate Fighters cheater Sunny provides commentary for our next Raw match, and she dances with Vince McMahon before taking her seat at ringside. Vince dancing never gets old. What a guy. I'll give this Rocky Maivia guy about a month before he finds work elsewhere. He and Salvatore lock up and Sincere pushes Rock into the corner before giving him a kiss. This confuses the young rookie, but Rock better get used to this shit if he wants to have any kind of career in the World Wrestling Federation. Doc appears via split screen and he hasn't been able to get an interview with Bret. The Hitman is resting up after taking that chair shot, and Doc says Psycho Sid isn't Bret's only obstacle here in the WWF. Steve Austin may be an even bigger threat. Rocky performs 2 leapfrogs, one of which was when his back was turned away from Sincere, and Rock lands an arm drag followed by a dropkick. Sunny is getting a good look at Rocky Maivia as our match continues. She definitely likes what she sees, and Sunny says she wouldn't mind managing Rocky Maivia in the future. Rock tries to roll Salvatore up, but Sincere holds onto the ropes. Rock charges back at Salvatore, but he ends up jumping out of the ring. Sincere then performs a baseball slide that catches Maivia right on the jaw. Sincere poses to the audience for a bit before he tries to use the ropes to bring Rocky in, but Rock counters it and Salvatore gets sent to the outside. The attention is again put on Sunny when she says she wants to show Rocky more than the ropes, and Jerry Lawler gets jealous. Sunny tells Lawler to get in the gym and look like Rocky if he wants a chance, or he can grow a cyber fist. A few hip toss counters results in Rocky taking a sidewalk slam. Sincere brings the fight to the corner, but Rock dodges an attack that leads to Sincere hitting the ring post shoulder first. Rock then performs a body slam, and then Rocky grows his own cyber fist. Rocky must be getting ready to end this match. Rock hits his devastating shoulder breaker and it's all over. Maivia wins. Can't really complain about this match. Only thing I'd say is that a lot of the match was focused around Sunny and not the Raw debut of Rocky Maivia, but still it's a point for Raw. Before our main event begins, Marc Mero learns that Hunter Hearst Helmsley will be sitting at ringside during his match with Billy Gunn. Mero tells Hunter to stay at the commentary table, and if he doesn't, well, the Wild Man will beat the shit out of him. Mero vs Billy Gunn is our Raw main event, while WCW Nitro presents Harlem Heat vs the Faces of Fear. Harlem Heat completely destroy our Ming Manly meter. Booker T and Stevie Ray are not to be messed with. This is one of the most manly battles possible on WCW. We may have seen this one in the past already, but it's a shame that so little time is left on Monday Nitro. There's just under 5 minutes before the show is over. Ming and Stevie Ray start us off, and Stevie strikes first. Ming takes a little punishment before performing a super combo that gets him out of the corner, and Sherry watches on as Stevie gets choked on the ropes. Check this out, Stevie comes back with a big boot. The Barbarian then decides to hit a big boot on Stevie Ray, and then Booker T jumps in. Booker hits a jumping sidekick, and Stevie Ray lands another sidekick on Ming. I'd love to see those Nick and Matt Jackson boys just try their little super kick party inside that ring. We aren't done yet though. Booker T nails a scissors kick while Stevie Ray holds Ming, and the kicks keep coming when Barbarian runs in to break up a pin attempt. We've got Ming and Booker T inside the ropes now, and the Faces of Fear pull off their backdrop into a powerbomb sequence. Things aren't looking good for Booker and Stevie. Stevie stops the match from ending, but the Faces of Fear begin making quick tags, keeping Booker at bay with some double team moves. Ming hits a backbreaker on Booker that nearly ends the match. Ming then goes for a powerbomb, but Stevie Ray breaks the count. This leads to the Barbarian taking Stevie to the outside where a brawl breaks out. And then the inevitable run-in happens. The NWO, along with new member Buff Bagwell, hit the ring and everyone gets taken out. It's absolute destruction. World War III winner The Giant nails Stevie Ray and Ming with choke slams, and the other guys involved in this tag match just don't stand a chance here. The show ends with the New World Order posing in the middle of the ring. Quite an underwhelming finish to Nitro this week. Billy Gunn attacks Marc Mero straight away, and the Wild Man ends up getting floored with a back elbow. Mero answers with a head scissors, and Billy Gunn finds himself on the outside. Mero feints a plancha, but Billy Gunn ends up taking a double axe handle. This spot didn't look great really, did it? Mero has words with Helmsley at the commentary table, and Vince tells his future son-in-law to sit down. Mero dodges a cheap shot from Billy Gunn, and the match gets back in the ring. Mark performs a leg drop from the apron to the ring, and Helmsley says he isn't here to provoke Mero. He's only here to add commentary and share his expertise. Mero gets a boot up in the corner and we get to see the Mero salt. Triple H criticises Mero for a weak pin afterwards, and Billy Gunn replies with a famouser. Sable cheers her man on from ringside and Hunter makes fun of her appearance. Vince reminds Hunter that it was he who brought Sable into the World Wrestling Federation, but Hunter says he felt sorry for Sable, she doesn't have a clue, and Triple H has no idea why she hangs around with someone like Marc Mero. I was too busy listening to Hunter completely destroy Sable that I didn't notice a chin lock was applied in the ring. It's been a while since we've had to play the soundbite, so next week, the first chin lock we see gets the soundbite and explosion treatment. Billy Gunn's going to be on Livewire this Saturday, make sure you don't miss that one, should be brilliant. And Mero is now having a real hard time getting back into this match. Billy Gunn keeps the pressure on with a Ric Flair knee drop and Sable is getting anxious at ringside. Mero tries to steal a victory with a small package, but Gunn kicks out and Mero gets clotheslined. Billy Gunn laughs at his opponent before performing a neckbreaker, and Billy Gunn lazily pins Mero, resulting in Mero kicking out, only to take more punishment. It's kinda weird seeing Billy Gunn being so dominant in a singles match from this era. Gunn steals his opponent's taunt by quickly moving the analog stick in a circular motion. Gunn was totally going to perform the wild thing, but Mero hits the ropes, resulting in Gunn smacking his little cowboys on the top turnbuckle. We come back from a commercial break, and Mero hits a top rope Frankensteiner. Triple H decides that he needs to give Sable a little help in what, I don't know, but Hunter gets up and he begins stalking Mrs. Mero on the outside. This results in Mark going out to save Sable and Billy Gunn gets in a cheap shot. Hunter decides to get in the ring to beat up Mero, and the match ends in a disqualification. Jake the Snake Roberts comes down for the save and Jake isn't looking too good. Even Lawler comments that Jake doesn't look like he's in the right frame of mind, and I don't think Lawler was trying to be funny either. That's how Raw ends though. Both Nitro and Raw had underwhelming main events this week. What we got on Nitro was good, but there wasn't enough of it. While over on Raw, the main event just didn't really feel like a main event, did it? No points for either show. Raw wins this week's Reliving the War, and it's really starting to feel like the WWF are beginning to fight back. The Bret vs Owen match isn't the best battle of the brothers, but it was still good enough. And Raw again spent a decent amount of promo time to build towards their next big shows. Nitro started off well, but their insistence on showing the whole Roddy Piper bit from World War III completely ruined the pacing of the show. That replay felt more important to WCW than the matches taking place in front of the live audience. Our overall scores are now 21 points to Raw, 30 points to Nitro, and we've had 8 ties. Nitro continues to dominate in the television ratings, scoring a 3.1 over Raw's 2.1. Next week, Sting is featured in our main event. He's booked into a match with Rick Steiner, so that should be interesting. And the US title tournament continues with a Chris Benoit vs Steve Regal match. On the WWF side, the Raw debut of Flash Funk makes Vince McMahon get funky on commentary, and Jake Roberts tries to get through a tag team match, Roberts and Mero vs Billy Gunn and Triple H. I hope to see you all next week. Thanks for watching this episode of Reliving the War, and take care.